Hello, beautiful friends. The song was sounding in the ethers today about Govinda, Vishnu. And so I know that you know that there is a cosmic language which can be heard in this cosmos. And for example, recently we worked with a beautiful song of the new earth, Maravati, and actually achieved and witnessed miracles. And these miracles now will be more and more visible and tangible to us. And actually, it's absolutely miraculous what happened in a way that we have now a new level of freedom. Freedom is really something that can be only experienced when we have the freedom to go between realms and dimensions in our light body. And so today we dedicate this transmission here to the activation of our light body. So it was on the 29th of January for most of us. Australia and New Zealand, of course, was a day later. And it was about 950 of us completely live, plus all the people that Kristen Hoffman also had, I don't know how many. So it was thousands for sure around the world, playing the song of the new earth around the world. I put together this map. This is here, Green Tower, 950 of us in all these amazing locations around this planet. So I posted the replay of our last call where we went into the detail of what happened. So since 11/11, and actually since 11/11/2023, so not just 24, we've had the alignment of the planetary axis. The planetary axis is actually the tree of life within the earth. Now, when I came into this embodiment, as what we would call a little person, I was always having these big visions and experiences about this earth and how we needed to prevent, another kind of what I would call missed call, and that would be not being able to make the ascension. And so for me, all of this is a great success that, we have been prepared for in this lifetime. So I was always seeing that something is wrong with our axis, the magnetic flow of energy within the earth, which was actually causing the tilt, but it was also causing the disconnect from divine reality. I could tell that there is a flow of false energy, false electromagnetic field, and that even something about our gravity was not right, that it was kind of causing this very disconnected density where very few people on this planet would have the freedom to actually move between realms and dimensions, and that very few people after the moment of what we call the transition of death would be able to go beyond even the astral plane. And so most people would end up in the lower astral plane and they would be recycled right back in. So all of this was actually unnatural, and it was causing for the earth to be disconnected from her original place in this universe. So the planetary grids had a lot to do with it. The planetary axis had a lot to do with it, and the electromagnetic field. And so since 11/11/2023, we've been working on realigning the planetary axis, on restoring the original blueprint of the Earth, which is a blueprint of the tree of life, where the energy flows perfectly and the tree is not lopsided and tilted, but it is straight and allows us to have access to the higher dimensions. So the veil around the earth, it actually, to me, was caused also through technology by the archons, who were really the nefarious beings among many who were operating the false matrix. So the veil was not only what we call the negative energy caused by humanity thinking and feeling, but also it was artificial. And so it was causing this membrane to be around not only the earth herself, but also the astral plane. And so it was really impossible, or even though of course it was possible for the ascended masters, but whoever was able to pierce through the veil beyond even the astral plane was then able to be ascended. That is actually all of us now. So this veil became so unbelievably thin after the dismantling of the false matrix, which took place after December solstice, that it was really like a very thin layer of, when I was able to see it, it was like, plastic, like saran wrap. And so on the new moon, which is also the new year of the serpent of snake in Chinese calendar, which is the moon lunar calendar, but it also observes the cycles of like the solstices and the equinoxes. The earth, as we played to her the song of Maravati, the song of remembrance, she remembered, and she was kind of like a rocket, and she pushed and pierced through the veil with the power of our love, with the power of the song, the power of sound. As you know, like sound, we cannot underestimate the power of sound. You know, we will all be remembering the incredible power that is within us, and that sound creates. And that sound moves. And so she was moved by the sound. She pierced through the veil. I know many of you saw this. It was happening in real time. We were watching it. And so she was then welcomed by all these incredible beings of light from all different dimensions and the universe and the galaxy. And they started purifying her because, as you can imagine, she was, stuck within the false matrix and manipulated so heavily. Again, the second coming of Christ of Yogananda speaks about, how it happened and who did it, and it has all the details. So the earth was then on the 29th of January welcomed back into divine reality in a whole new way. So this all is a process that actually, started in 2012, but it just really accelerated. And it accelerated because us fulfilling divine will. And that's just incredible. So this is a huge, huge, huge victory for the earth and of course for humanity. Does it mean that all the evil is gone from the earth? No, we still have evil living within people, as you know, and it's quite obvious right now. And so, but there is no source for it anymore. The source of evil as it existed in cosmos got reintegrated into the oneness of all life. As a matter of fact, today is the 2nd of February in this artificial calendar, but numbers are numbers of cosmos. Cosmos actually gave birth to mathematics and to numbers. So you can see numbers floating in dimensions. Like you can I actually believe that the numbers that we have, that we use, are actually kind of like downloads from cosmos, as cosmos and universe was showing us these numbers. So I've seen these numbers floating around, in other dimensions. And so today is a number 22. So last year on 22, incredible things happened. So we got invited to be with the Hopi people and participate in this incredible earth healing event, gathering really, in Sedona. It was a very small group of people. And we were split into two groups. One group went to one of the ancient sites that is known as the front door, and the other group went to another ancient Hopi site, which is known as the back door. Now, before this happened, I actually got visited by many Hopi women that I personally don't know in this lifetime, but we seem to know each other from these other dimensions. And they were giving me instructions every single day about what to do when I end up being at the back door. Now, I didn't know I was going to be at the back door, but I ended up on the back door. And then the information started to flow, and we did exactly what we were supposed to do. And it was a great success for planetary healing. But many people received exactly the same visions and, information. I was completely in trance, listening to the ether saying, no more will life harm life. And I was receiving all these visions as we were standing there. And it was about how evil is being integrated into the oneness of all life, and that no more will there be a frequency that will be actually harming other parts of life. If you work with Patricia Cota-Robles, of course, then you know that's a big deal. And it's all about loving all life free. So that really was the initial impulse that I witnessed exactly a year ago in Sedona. And so since then, it has been all about, reintegrating this frequency that was creating damage to other parts of life, that was harming life. And so now it is just in people. And again, you will see it in this world still, right? But we have a huge now, actually, I would say victory. And that victory is that actually in the true divine reality, this is actually completely accomplished. and that is on the inner planes, and I always call it the ethers or inner planes or whatever, in the energetics in the causal plane, the earth has been returned beyond the veil completely. So even a few days ago, the veil was still in existence, but very, very thin. But the earth, through the song of Maravati, pierced through the veil. And now she is being looked after by all these incredible beings that we are. We are those beings in those higher realms. So I saw this joke and I thought this is us, trying to explain to people what we do for work, how we move people from the false matrix into the reality of the rainbow light. I thought you would appreciate it too. So cool. And so there is a lot to be said about rainbow light and rainbow reality that we are part of, and we will definitely look at it because today is about the light body. So I will quickly move through the slides so that we understand what is really happening on planet Earth right now and how can we really go with that flow. So several days ago again, it's really packed, I would say packed divine plan. And it's like every day there is new information, huge expansion, quantum leaps. And it's like, I feel like we are running this Ascension marathon. And so it was a few days ago when we were told that it is now the time to purify all matter, which means the purification of all 5 elements within us and all around us. This actually means the elements that not only are in our physical body, but that they also are in our etheric body, in our mental and emotional body. So now is the purification of the 5 elements, which means the purification of all matter. We knew in this ascension process that matter will be spiritualized. Now is the time. And we were told that there is like a visualization that can help us, which is exactly like this slide that you see here, this visual, that actually in the essence and originally all is light, that beyond all matter, that beyond all manifestation is actually spirit. Now, I always say that, Yogananda is the greatest avatar, one of the greatest avatars that recently walked upon the earth, as well as Swami Kaleshwar. And they came from the same source. And I got to meet Yogananda for the first time actually in these higher realms that blend into this reality in 2010. And when he came, he really came in his physical body where he stood before me. But the funny thing was, I didn't know him. I didn't know at all anything about Yogananda, never heard of Yogananda, And so it was by design. The recognition, though, was instantaneous. And that was when I started to receive daily teachings from Yogananda. So every single day, I would go into meditation and we would meet. And then he would take me on a journey through all the different planes that start with the physical plane and then move into the higher planes. And so he was very specific about this process. I never read any of his books until really recently, because I wanted to just receive this teaching from him. But now that I'm reading and listening to Yogananda, everything he taught me was just a shortcut to all that he taught in his lifetime. So this is the time of shortcuts. And so I want to explain a little bit what I learned from him. So when we start here in the physical reality, obviously that is the lowest part of us. The human being here is a result of a waterfall. And this waterfall comes from the spirit. We can call it source. We can call it I am, and we can call it also the divine self. Now, all these names I am not assigning because someone, I read it somewhere. It's because I went there with him. And once you go into the waterfall that you came down with, you of course know what you're witnessing. You know the sound of it. So when you are in your spirit, you hear I am. When you are in your spirit, you realize that is your divine self. You realize that is the most expanded version of you that you are. But then the waterfall comes down. And the waterfall is really what people call stream of consciousness. But it's also a stream of light and love. And as this light love flows down like a waterfall from source, there is a pathway. Thank you, John. I count on you to put these amazing visuals in the chat because it really helps us. So the waterfall comes down, and just like a waterfall, it's pretty much straight down. Now, this is also what we would call the pillar of light. As spirit flows out from source, it creates different planes. And the first plane that it creates after it spills out is the spirit as you, so individualized spirit. But then spirit actually creates even more individualized version of itself, and it's just like a cosmic egg with a membrane around itself that is what we call the soul. The soul has a completely different function from the spirit, and yet they are one, as the soul originates in the spirit. And the soul is not what people think it is, because most people say, oh, the soul incarnated here. That actually is not exactly how it is. The soul remains on the soul plane and remains actually as that, egg-shaped field, but individualized, sustained fully by spirit and connected to the ocean of spirit. But the soul starts dreaming realities. Now, one of the realities, but just one of them, and there could be many happening all at once. It's a little bit like if you now went to Netflix and you started to play several movies all at once. It's totally possible. And so you would just need different devices. And so we are one of the movies that is happening within the soul right now. And then the soul sends its light down to the plane all the way that could be here on this planet, but it also could be on a different planet. It could be in a different galaxy. And so then it creates characters. And so we are the character right now. And so when we look at it ultimately as the big picture, then all originated in source. And beyond all manifestations, there is only one truth. And that is that all is light, and that light is spirit, and so all is spirit. This is really important to all of us right now, because this is the ascension. The waterfall was flowing down, and eventually it created this density, which is the matter. But, it got trapped a little bit, and now it's the liberation. And so now is the freedom. It's not about escaping anything. It's about gaining freedom and regaining freedom to once again be the divine self that we originally, as we came out of source, we are that. We are that right now. So this pathway, like what John posted here, the waterfall, when it came down, it got a little stuck in the first, the second, and the third chakra. But the thing is that the yogis found a way to reverse it. They reversed the flow of the waterfall, and that's how they were able to actually experience samadhi. Now, I experienced samadhi as well, because it is actually our nature to be able to experience samadhi. When we reverse the flow of the waterfall and go back into source, and we obviously have the experience of the oneness with the source beyond all manifestation. And as soon as we have a thought, we no longer can be in samadhi, and we no longer can be one with source, because thought, and I'm always saying it, it is all of us with the same design. And now it is so easy to reverse the flow and to self-realize all these different levels of who we are. So this is going to be a global experience for all of us, that all is actually going into source. So when I was one with source in the samadhi state, it was really, you cannot describe it because you don't exist, but you still are some kind of consciousness without thinking. So that's why meditation is the way to do this. But as soon as I had a thought, I immediately had to get out of the samadhi state, and you go back down the river of life. So it's just amazing how thoughtlessness is actually a condition. So today I'm going to speak about the light body. Now, personally, I worked a lot with my light body through the teachings of Daben and Orin. I always promote the work of Orin and Daben, but all of that will I share here today has actually, you cannot trademark the light body. The light body, when it happens, is your own experience. You can see it, you can work it, you can spin it, you can, travel in it. And so I'm gonna detach from any teachings, but I'm gonna go into the experience of it, which is very real for all of us now. From what I'm experiencing with all of us in these other realms is that we all are now remembering how to work our light body. So first of all, I'm going to show an animation that we created, which actually is the animation of the spiral. This really puzzled me, when the light body started to activate so spontaneously these days, that there is a spiral within the light body. And so we created a little animation. The spiral is not only in our physical body. You can visualize it in the physical body, but actually it goes through the physical into the non-physical. So it becomes much more our light body. And so we created this little visual here. It's 1 minute and 11 seconds. So, this is the spiral that now moves through our light body, and I will now share, so that we know the details of it, how to every day empower our light body. So, I experienced the activation of my light body through meditation many years ago, and it was truly an emotional experience. Because really, our light body is the result of our Kundalini not only awakening, but becoming fully woken up or awake. So at the beginning I was showing the image of Vishnu, and Vishnu has cobras. Sorry, I'm gonna go back just so that we look at it. This basically, the cobras above the head are actually just showing us that the being has awakened Kundalini. And so that means the Kundalini is awake, and that's just how it is. It moved through the crown and it moved through the third eye. Sometimes you see the cobra coming through the third eye, and that is actually a Kundalini awakening experience. The Kundalini energy is a rainbow energy, and it is our own unit of consciousness. It is our stream of consciousness, and it became asleep for many people actually on this planet, because it became asleep in the planet herself. So it's catch-22. When the planet is asleep, the body will be asleep. And the body, of course, means the Kundalini, the consciousness, the true consciousness. So now is the awakening of our rainbow body. It is the awakening of the rainbow body within the earth herself. This is very cool. And this is exactly how it flows. Plus another thing, it also spins. Now, all of this is happening through all of us. So we are returning to the original design of the rainbow body, the awakened serpent power, whatever we want to call it. It simply is a flow of rainbow light that is our true and original nature. This is our original design, and this is what makes us rainbow children. Within the within the apple, so the toroidal field creates the apple, is actually a vortex. You see it here in the core of the apple. What you can observe all of this, and we will be using very simple technique to activate all of this within us, but knowing that no longer is it a lot of effort and months and months or years to activate. Now it's actually happening to us. So we can help the process. So for example, I spend about an hour a day activating my light body. I do 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes whenever I find it, usually in the middle of the night. So why do it, right? Is the freedom, the incredible freedom that we now have. And I will speak about the freedom. It's actually still, being revealed to us. But from what I've experienced in these higher realms is that now we have freedom to move, freedom to experience much more of who we are. And it's not just random, and it's, not all the effort that it took until recently. It's because, of course, the false matrix is dismantled and the veil is no more. So when this rainbow body activates, it has this element of what we actually call the tree of life. And you can see how the energy, there is a funnel at the bottom and there's a funnel on the top. And I personally actually see the flow in reverse. So when you watch this animation, the flow on the top, right, it feels like the energy is flowing in, but actually it's reversed. And I don't know if I can put it upside down and it would still work, but I'm gonna stop the flow here so that we can look at the next image, and maybe that will explain it better. Sorry, some slides I just have to go to. I have several images for the light body so that you can see it. So there is a vortex that comes from below into the base of the spine, and then there is another vortex that actually comes from above, and they meet in the center. And the energy flows into the bottom vortex, but the also energy flows from cosmos into the upper vortex, and it creates the flow of energy. So if I start at the bottom, the energy is flowing up, but at the same time the energy is also flowing down. And as it flows up, it becomes more and more refined. It moves through all the different chakra systems and the meridians and the spine and the heart. If the heart is open, of course, it works the best. And then it explodes like a fountain. And when we experience the explosion, I personally, when I experienced this for the first time, decades ago, it felt like I became a fountain of water. And so we call it, baptism by water, by the Holy Spirit. And it completely, you just burst into tears. It's a very emotional experience because you basically liberate the flow. And so the energy then moves up from your crown, and it creates this fountain effect. And then the waters of your Holy Spirit flow all around you in the toroidal shape, but they connect with more cosmic energy, and more of the energy comes back into the funnel at the bottom. So this is one of the flows within the light body. You see, it creates a spiraling motion. So if you were looking at yourself from the top, you would actually see a spiral. So this is quite incredible. And so it is your rainbow body, and you are restored. To me, this also delivers freedom. In the false matrix, when it was very, very rare that this could happen in the false matrix, because it would require massive amount of effort. You would be pushing against the world. The world had a different electromagnetic field which was manipulated. So to restore your own electromagnetic field would be truly going against the world. The world had a pull, and the pull in a way was that also false gravity, not only natural gravity, but false gravity. So making everything so stuck, pulling life force down into the base chakra. So when a person would restore their own electromagnetic field, they would experience complete freedom from the false world. So it would give us also wings. It creates, what we see in the angels and the pictures. This creates energetic wings. Not only is it the apple of life, it is also the tree of life, it is the Holy Grail. All these imageries that we had are just describing and the tears of joy are very nice. And so you see the apple. So I call it the juicy apple. That means we no longer are these prunes like the world wanted us to be, but we are back to actually our design of the apple. Within the apple is the mystery. This is the true meaning of the story of actually the serpent in the Garden of Eden giving the apple to Adam and Eve, just simply reminding them of who they used to be before they fell. They fell into actually thinking that they are disconnected from their divine self. They became identified with the body and forgot their light body. So the apple is actually a symbol for the light body, and within the apple is a 5-pointed star of the 5 elements of creation: the ether, the fire, the water, the air, and the earth. And so all of these mysteries now will be revealed to us. This requires an alignment of balance within our physicality and non-physicality. A person who is able to completely align, like you see here, they will experience their light body as their new body. So again, the 5 elements and the 5-pointed star pointing up towards the ether and not reversed the way that, black magic did it. Within the vortex at the core of your apple, you will find what we call the diamond light body. The diamond, actually, all the mystics, and this is where I want to say this is not the teachings of Oren, it simply is looking within. When you look within, when your light body is activating, which happens during meditation, focus, and concentration, you will see your own structure, and you will see that there is a diamond, and the diamond has a pointy tip pointing up above the head all the way, and then below the feet down. And again, it's just the structure within our light body. So what I have been able to experience is moving into the light body fully, leaving the physical body behind, which is also our freedom. And again, we will practice, this is like learning a new skill. So it's maybe like going from a car that you had the shift stick and it was not always so easy, at least I didn't find it easy, and now being in a self-driving car. So this is very much a self-driving car, but it's just an adjustment. So the inner, the diamond shape actually spins. Now, I've tested it out. It's okay to spin it both ways, but for some reason it definitely spins easier and faster when you spin it to the left, so counterclockwise. But again, we'll practice, and I'm just going to give the big picture here right now so that we can, think about it this way. Within the diamond is actually our physical body. So our light body is much bigger than our physical body. And I really have even experienced myself being able to leave my physical body behind and just be in the light body. So I don't think that the light body necessarily needs the physical body. But since we are humans in this world right now, we do have a physical aspect to us, and that can be then in the center. But if you, for example, have tried leaving your body, going out of body, the way that we have taught here through the techniques of Kriya Yoga, really, then you will be able to experience fully your light body as your new self. And that is the mystery that is unfolding here. Once we are able to travel out of body in our vehicle of light, we actually end up in this incredible network of threads of light. And we have infinite possibilities. Now, this is our new reality. Again, this is so new, absolutely new. So if you were standing on a clock, yes, then it would spin counterclockwise. So you would be in the center of a clock, and then you would go to the left. So this is so huge for us all now. This is like my passion right now. I want everybody to know this, because of course we still live in a world that doesn't tell us all of this. And so we live in a world that seems like something is here on the outside. But the only thing that is on the outside is the residue of the past. So some of it even looks ugly, but it's the residue of the past. So when we focus on the new potential that we have here, which we will do here together, then we can actually create incredible, incredible realities. And this is what we will now take a look at. Beautiful spiral. Yeah. So, I was sharing these experiences that I had myself, because that's the only thing I can really authentically share here. And so it was in 2008, I was meditating very, very, very intensely and with great passion. And it became, something that I just wanted to do all the time and all day, because of course, once you pierce the veil, things get really fun. And so things got really fun. And when the veil ceases to exist in the false matrix, it is only because we had to make so much effort to create our rainbow body. So one day my guides told me that I should start spinning like a dervish, which I don't think it's necessary now, but I did it. And I did it 144 times, and I had my daughter count how many times I'm spinning. But what it did, it actually awakened the Kundalini power. And Kundalini suddenly went all the way up into the oneness with God, and I was able to have a communion with what we would call God, and actually have a dialogue and speak. And also experience oneness with what we would call our Christ self, which we all have, and Christ consciousness. And what happens when the Kundalini fully awakens, you actually integrate your Christ self, and there is sacred marriage that takes place. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It is you reunite with your Christ self in this sacred marriage. But what I didn't think about is that actually the dervishes mimicking the spin of the light body. And so I was searching if it is possible that the dervishes actually create a spiral, and this is what I found. So all the little mysteries and all the little imageries and all the myths and stories, they come together into this incredible actually potential that is within us all, and that is the light body needs to spin. Now, a few nights ago, I wanted to really test it out, and we were at Mount Shasta, and so I came out of my physical body, and I ended up in the ethers. And in the ethers, your will is aligned with the divine will of your being. It is very different from the human will. So whatever happens when you're out of body is different will. It is much more intelligent and much more expanded. And so I wanted to test out, what would it do if I am in the light body and I spin it? So I started to spin the light body, and the way that I did it, I simply had to, I took this from just looking for images. I didn't want to purchase this one so that you see it. So it has the eye stalk, but I had to use a little bit of effort. And it would be the same effort that you remember as a child maybe, or as a parent, as a grandparent, when you would turn the carousel. And so you would actually use your etheric body to move the energy. So you would kind of pull and push a little bit and got the light body to spin. So that actually worked 100%. So as if you just used your hand, because in the etheric double you also have obviously your body, your hand. So you simply push the apple from within as you are in the apple, right? So you are in it, and you just simply push the energy like you're swiping sideways, and it starts to spin. That's all it took to spin the light body. So since then, this is how I do it now. And then you go and visit other realities. Incredible multidimensional experiences happen through the light body like never before. And this is where I think our freedom is now. Every reality is a dream. And I know it's sometimes hard to actually truly feel that way, because it doesn't seem like it. And it doesn't seem like it because we are coming out of the false matrix. But within the other planes that now also have been liberated, which includes the astral plane and beyond into the causal plane, all realities actually are dream realities. And I would call beautiful cosmic dream realities, where the beings are dreaming, which means they are using their conscious visualization, and they are focusing on what they wish to create. They create beauty and perfection, and they use their divine mind to create. So let's say you want to create something very beautiful, when you are on this beautiful network of light, full of potential, and everything is up to your visualization power and your imagination power. So here you can visualize and imagine, And if you have a lot of energy that you invest into it, then you will see the result immediately. All realities are dream realities. Our reality is also a dream reality, but it was manipulated. We constantly co-created our reality with our imagination, which is our thought. But as you know, within the false matrix, the thought became manipulated. And so we were thinking ugly things instead of thinking beautiful things. We were often not using our creative mind to create new possibilities, but instead we used our mind to simply describe what is. Now we are in a new world. In this new world, you and me really are the brave ones. We might see ugliness and crazy stuff happening in this world, but we still have the power, and now more than ever, to go within and to just clean up our consciousness and to step into our own imagination and our own visualization to bring solutions from the divine self onto the canvas of this network of light that actually is all around us now as the new divine matrix. When I first was able to see this from the big perspective of Source, I was kind of disappointed to hear that all realities are dreams. And I was having this Kundalini experience through the spinning, and I was able to have a dialogue with our Divine Father. And I asked him, so you telling me that even the fifth dimension and all the angels, everyone's just dreaming, but they dreaming beautiful dreams? And he said, yes, it's a beautiful cosmic dream. Cosmos is dreaming itself. It's creating beauty and perfection and light and all these healing temples and songs and symphonies. It's all a beautiful dream. But here on this planet, we got tricked. And when we got tricked and manipulated, we were using the mind to actually always create, but not always beauty and perfection and beautiful symphonies. And so that was the false matrix, the mind matrix, the time matrix. So now we are returning to these infinite possibilities. But of course, since the law of cause and effect is actually a cosmic law, which means if I imagine a temple and then that's my cause, I'm designing it in my higher mind, I'm delighting in it, I'm focusing on it, then the temple will be the effect. Cause and effect. That's the law of creation. First comes mind, but not the mind of the human. That was the distorted mind, but now the divine mind. But there is a mess here, and you can see it in this world, and that still needs to be cleaned up. And so we have just two really missions right now. That's why we are the brave ones. We are cleaning up the mess. I always imagine it the way that kids came into a room full of Lego and they just took all the Lego pieces apart, and there's a big mess, and we are now here to clean it up, to build the new. And so we are purifying matter. So we will be meeting in the next few days. I'm gonna put it in an email and put it on the website as often as we can, so that we can clean up the mess and build the new. We'll be working with the violet flame, but also with the tools of Yogananda, which was the tool of the divine fire of God. And then we will be building the new and using our light body. So we have new heavens and new earth. It is absolutely visible in the energetics of the earth, but we still have the residue, which also is a dream, but it is a bit of a nightmare. And so a nightmare is just a result of beings who were not thinking and feeling with love, with oneness, with respect for each other, respect for themselves, respect for the earth. I always look at this world now, especially living in the US, I look at it as know them by their fruit. To me, that's a very important thing. If I see oneness, that's a good fruit. If I see love, that's a very good fruit. If I see respect for each other, that's a good fruit. If I see respect for the earth, very good fruit. And so the illusion, of course, has been very big and it infiltrated everywhere. So know them by their fruit, and we are the ones to know ourselves by our fruit. Just that. Oneness is a fundamental principle within creation. Love is a fundamental energy of creation. Goodwill is a fundamental principle of creation. Kindness, inclusiveness, caring energy, that's the energy of the earth. So that's the fruit. Yes, Carla, actually, I'm glad I saw your post here in the chat, because we are in the new heavens and the new earth. We have a new electromagnetic field around the earth. People are seeing incredible phenomena around the world, right? They're reporting on the electric grid and doing strange things. That all is because we have new electromagnetic field. As a matter of fact, here is a picture of the new electromagnetic field. The new electromagnetic field is what creates the rainbow around the earth. And our electromagnetic field is our rainbow body. So, strange things will be happening. Like for me, I'm just feeling this incredible buzzing in the feet chakras all the time, especially when you walk up on the earth. So what is divine will? In the false matrix, they told us very often suffering is part of divine will, and it's the will of God to suffer. And that was actually just what the false matrix wanted us to believe. It wanted everyone to completely be disconnected from the truth, which is divine will is all good. Divine will is always good. Divine will is always love. Divine will is always comfort, well-being, joy, bliss. That is the true divine will. Divine will has to be known by us, because if we don't know divine will, how do we know where to flow? And it is always like a river. And that's why I played the song at the beginning. It's like a river. It flows and it just wants to stay in the flow and move us. And so divine will is the rainbow light that is visible in cosmos as it spills out from source. Also, it can be seen as the opal light, which is all the elements of the rainbow of the divine self. And so our purpose here in this world is to be attuned to that flow. Now, this flow cannot be known by the logical mind. It is much more a movement of energy within us, and it can require completely spontaneous, unexpected action. I would say that everyone who embodies that divine self becomes slightly unpredictable, because the divine will is a flow. It flows where it needs to flow, and we cannot really predict it. And it moves through us, and then it moves us. And so we can say it's also intuitive. And so, for example, you will be in a store and there will be a person next to you, and the divine will move through you to gift the person next to you. You don't make the decision yourself, but the divine wants to bless the person next to you, and you will be the instrument of that blessing. There is a reason for the body to be attuned to divine will through actually the physicality. And that's why we have pranayama. We open up the channels within us. That's why we do yoga. That's why we do qigong. That's why we walk barefoot. That's why we gaze at sunrise, to know the divine will within us. And then we are simply moved like the fool. And we are moved in this world to be the will of God, to be the will of Divine Mother, to be the will of love. And so we then bless all around us. And it doesn't have to be something that we do. It can sometimes be just a word we say, be something that we write down, create, who knows? And that's basically the new design, that, the original design and the new design, that all beings know divine will, and that divine will is always good, and divine will does not punish. Now, in the past, in the false matrix, right, we often heard things like, you deserve this suffering and who knows what. It had a lot of nonsense, right? It was an illusion within an illusion. The divine plan is never for anyone to suffer. The only reason why suffering came into being is actually two reasons. One, it was manipulated energy of the false matrix that wanted beings to suffer and even accept suffering. But the other thing is that we also have a lot of people in this world who are not attuned to this flow and who don't act with this attunement. This attunement is always visible as loving kindness. Again, even if the person doesn't do anything, there is the emanation of loving kindness. And so when people are not attuned to divine will, they kind of go off script, which means they are not following the flow of divine will. And then they create from their own will. And that creates, of course, chaos. I had this experience the other night, which really was new to me. And I will actually, do an event where I'll explain different states of consciousness that we might start experiencing, all of us, because it's important. I see a lot of young people maybe even confused about the different experiences they are having with these different states of consciousness. And there are many different states of consciousness that we are experiencing now. But this one was new to me. I was, doing my meditation in the middle of the night, and suddenly my consciousness or my awareness split into two. Suddenly I was this person down here, that I call Adi, and, the person who has a body, the person who's a woman. But at the same time, I also split into like a much higher version of this being. And that higher version was telling this person what to say. And so I was then hearing this divine will coming through the higher version of myself. And this higher version was saying, and now Adi will say this. And then Adi, as me here, I just repeated it. And then the higher version says, and now you will do this. And now you will go this place. And now you will go and say this. And I was able to hear the instructions and then fulfill them like one split second later. And I think that's how it's for all of us. That the instructions are being spoken like this to us. And when we actually hear the instructions, we simply fulfill them and be the instrument for the divine in this world. So that's quite incredible. So I'll continue here with the slides. So now, of course, we go back to that we are dreaming. I asked, Yogananda, so I'm in this dream reality that looks a little bit like a nightmare. And not always, but definitely for billions of people, probably it is. And so I said, how do we exit this nightmare? And he said, just wake up your spine, wake up your light body, have the freedom to move without death. And so that again brings us back to the incredible power that we have within us, that our light body now is actually giving us access to any reality that we resonate with in our light body. So we are dreaming here. To wake up means to use a lot of focus. For example, like let's say you're having a nightmare. How do you wake yourself up from a nightmare? I'm sure every single one of us has done it in the past. And that would be to summon your energy. You need to summon energy, don't you? And when you summon the energy, you wake yourself up. And that's exactly what's required now for us waking up from this dream. No need to scream, just wake up, summon energy. And so to me, that's moving my life force through the spine and creating the light body. So today we will take a look at just the big picture, but it's important to know that everything is always the result of dreaming, and that humanity, of course, in the false matrix, forgot about this power. And that we actually started to, because we forgot we were dreaming, we just forgot. And when you forget that you're dreaming, you get lost in your dream. So Yogananda, for example, said, birth and death are like doors that allow people to pass from one dream to another. And that's exactly what we are doing now without having to die. That's why I think that we will be the generation that will not experience physical death, but instead we will simply spin out, just like the mystics in the Himalayas in Tibet. When they activate their rainbow body, they simply vibrate out. And for that, we need a spinning light body that flows and has a vortex in the middle that spins, and that is our diamond shape. And then also the entire apple spins too. Not everyone will be immediately experiencing all of this consciously, but we are also experiencing it anyway. And so for now, if you want to practice, and this is what I use myself as well, visualize, imagine, see and feel, and put energy into what you visualize and imagine. So if you want to just visualize, I'm going to go back to the light body. You don't have to do it at all physically. Just visualize yourself often enough, long enough, with enough focus, with enough imagination in your light body. And the light body will come into being. This is a beautiful image, Isabel. So when I was activating my light body many decades ago, it was like, I don't know, 20 something years ago, I worked on it for 6 months every single day. I visualized it, I imagined it, I got the spin, I got the flow, and then 6 months later, it just bursted by itself, actually, truly into being. That means within the false matrix, it was 6 months of crazy effort, but now, very easy. There is no world going against us anymore. There is no electromagnetic pull pulling us against us. And so I would recommend, ideally, twice a day is always a good amount, a little bit of meditation, just simply visualizing this structure in spin and movement around you. I also, when I'm laying in bed, I like to imagine it above me. And to imagine it above you, it's actually a great idea, because a lot of people who teach how to come out of body, they say you need to visualize yourself above yourself so that you get the idea of separating from the physical body. And so you can just lay in bed and see this spinning structure of light above you and how it turns and how the energy flows. So that would be it for today. And I will post it on YouTube as well. And again, we will meet again, and I will create actually instructions step by step how to create this structure. But for now, it's very easy. It really has these two elements, the spin and the flow.